Hi, welcome to Quick Keys. My name is Buzz Hale and this is the fastest way to learn to play chords on the keyboard or piano. Okay, so in this first video we're just going to look at getting started. And if you already know your way around the keyboard, you know the names of the notes, you know what a half step or semitone is and an octave, then you can skip this video and get straight on with the first one about major chords. But if you're a complete beginner or you need to just revise your way around the keyboard, then stick around and we'll get you started. So the first thing to learn is the names of the notes. And as you can see, the keyboard is laid out in a regular pattern with 2 black notes, followed by 3 black notes, and then 2, and then 3, and 2, and then 3. And that's very, very handy because it gives us a way of navigating around the keys and knowing which notes we're playing. Because if it was just black, white, black, white, black, white with no gaps, it would be very difficult to figure out what note was what. But the 2 and the 3 give us a very easy way of figuring out where our notes are. And the whole of the keyboard is based around the note C, which you'll find here on the left-hand side of the 2 black notes. And every time you are to the left of the 2 black notes, you are playing the note C. So there's another C, there's another C, and there's another C. And the white notes basically just follow the letters of the alphabet then. There are 7 letters in the musical alphabet. So going from C, D, E, F, G, and then we go back to A, B, C. The whole of the keyboard is based around the note C rather than the note A. Don't ask me why that is the case, because there's a very complicated answer which you don't need to know. But if we start on C, we've got actually C, D, E, F, G, so we've got 5 letters of the alphabet, and then the other 2, A and B, before we get back to C. And so the whole of the keyboard is based around the note C rather than the note A. Another useful note to remember is F, which you'll find on the left-hand side of the 3 black notes. And again, same as C, you'll find it next to every 3 black notes. Always on the left is always F. And if you remember C and F, then all the other white notes are just 1 or 2 on either side of those 2 notes. So that's my recommendation. Remember where C is on the left-hand side of the 2 notes and where F is on the left-hand side of the 3 black notes. And that will really, really help you to remember all the locations of all the other notes. Moving on to the black notes then, you'll notice that every black note is slightly shorter than every white note. And every black note is obviously in the middle of 2 white notes. And the black notes have got 2 different names. They can be referred to as sharps or flats. And basically, as a beginning keyboard player, you don't need to know why. Sometimes they're called sharps and sometimes they're called flats. What you do need to know, though, is they've got 2 different names. And so this note here, you'll see, is indicated here as a D flat at the moment, but it could equally be called a C sharp because it's 1 note up from C and 1 note down from D. And if we sharpen a note, we take it up 1 semitone or 1 half step. If we flatten it, we bring it down 1 semitone or 1 half step. And so this note is in the middle of C and D, and therefore it could be called D flat or it could be called C sharp. And the bit of software I'm using at the moment is defaulted to flats, so it's going to call all of the black notes flats. Okay, but they could equally be called sharps. And so all you need to remember is where your black note is in relation to your white notes. If you know that this note is C, you'll know that this is a C sharp or a D flat. And if this note's a D, then the next one above it will be a D sharp or an E flat. So this note that's on the right-hand side of F is going to be a G flat or an F sharp. The next one that's on the right-hand side of G is going to be an A flat or a G sharp. And the next one on the right-hand side of A is going to be an A sharp or a B flat. And that is the black notes. The next thing you need to understand is what a semitone or a half step is. They're 2 names for the same thing, basically. A semitone or a half step is the smallest distance that you can have between 2 notes on the keyboard. So from E to F, here is a semitone. or a half step. From C to C sharp or D flat is a half step or a semitone. From A flat to A is a half step or a semitone. Now this is really important to understand because all of the chords that we're going to cover in quick keys are counted in semitones or half steps. And the way you will count is always following the same system. That your starting note will be called number 1. So if I say this chord is going to start on D, D is number 1, and then we count in half steps or semitones up the keyboard, and up is going from left to right. Okay, as the notes get higher. So if I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, I've got the notes D and A, and I've counted up 8 half steps or semitones, counting my first note as number 1. If I start on the note B, and I count all the way up to the next B, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I've actually counted now 13 half steps or semitones to get up to the octave. Okay. And everything we do in quick keys is going to be based on counting like that. Okay, so please remember that and you'll be nice and secure with everything that we're going to do. Now, I just mentioned the word octave. An octave is the distance between two notes of the same name. So here's a G and here's another G. And the distance between those two notes is called an octave. Okay, if I was to play the next G down, that would be 2 octaves distance. Okay, if I play this C here, there's 1 octave to C, 2 octaves to the next C, and 3 octaves to the next C. The word octave contains the opening 3 letters OCT, oct, which means 8, and it's always 8 letters. So it's the 8th letter from the letter that you start on. So if I start on C, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, the 8th letter will be C again. It's also, as we saw a minute ago, 13 half steps or semitones, including the starting and finishing note. So if I start on F, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. The 13th semitone or half step is the octave above. The reason these notes always have the same name if they're an octave apart is that they sound very, very similar when played together. They're not actually the same note, but they sound really, really similar together. So let's play 2 E flats. When we play them both together, it's difficult to almost hear that they're 2 different notes. And I can play another 2 E flats here. And all of those notes sound like one great big E flat. The reason for that is that the frequencies of those notes will always be exactly double or half of each other. And that gives the 2 waves a very, very similar sound because they fit together very perfectly, 2 waves for every one. And that's why they're called the same name. And the principle of octaves will be used all the way through quick keys as well, because whenever we play our chords, there'll always be some kind of octave being used between the left hand and the right hand. Or 95% of the time there will, anyway, until we get onto some of the more complicated chords. And just so you know, in music technology terms, each octave is given a number. And normally the C that's in the middle of the keyboard or piano will be called C3. So this would be C2, this will be C1. And then each octave is just numbered with the notes after that. So C3, D3, E3, F3, etc. C2, D2, E2, F2, etc. Just a brief comment now on finger technique. And it's very, very useful to obviously get your fingers moving if you're a complete beginner. And there's various different exercises you can do. I recommend literally just alternating your fingers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 in that kind of exercise, and then just practicing different patterns of fingers 1, 3, 5, 3, 1, 1, 3, 2, 4, 3, 5, 4, 2, 1, that kind of thing. You can make your own exercises up basically, but make sure you use your thumb. Okay, and get used to using all 5 fingers if you can. When you're playing simple 3-note chords, you can get away with just using fingers 1, 2, and 3. Correct technique, in the classical way of thinking of technique, would be to use fingers 1, 3, and 5. But that's not really essential. You can pretty much use any fingers that you want. But do definitely use your thumb. Now, if you're going to play with both hands, which we are going to do throughout Quick Keys, then your left hand is going to play a bass note, which would normally be 1 or 2 octaves below the starting note of the chord that you're playing. So if I'm going to start on the note A, and let me count a chord, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, my starting note here, A, I'm going to double that in the bass. Okay. And there's my octave from the A to the A. And then the 3 notes of the chord are played in the right hand, and the bass note is played in the left hand. 95% of the chords that we do will be played in that way. There will be some exceptions to that, but we'll get onto those sort of further down the line. For now, just double up the starting note of each chord that you play in the right hand in the left hand. And then we get on to a variety of different rhythms that you can play once you've learned these chords. And we'll start really, really simply with a basic rhythm where you play the chord with both hands together. Just 1, 2, 3, 4. That's very simple. Alternatively, we can hold down our left hand while we play the right hand on each beat. We can also alternate the hands. Right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left. Or the other way around. Left, right, left, right. Or we can do a combination of playing both hands together and alternating the hands. So here's a kind of John Lennon Imagine style rhythm where we start with both hands together, left and right, and then we alternate right, left, right, left, right, left. And that sounds like this. So we're nearly finished with our getting started now. Just want to go through with you some of the places that you're going to find chords actually written, chord symbols written. Firstly, you'll find them above staves in traditional music notation of all different types. Secondly, you'll find them above the staves in fake books, real books, and busker books. Thirdly, you might find them inside staves in music for jazz and other kinds of improvisation and band arrangements. On the internet, you'll find them very, very commonly over lyrics in chord charts or just basic lyric sheets. And then in more recent years, we've started to find them in electronic chord apps such as the iReal book and similar apps that are coming out in the last couple of years. In the Quick Keys book and in all of these videos, you will find the chord charts notated like this. And in this example, you can see that each bar or measure is a box, and within those boxes, there are some chord symbols. In this example, you'll see that we've got 4 different chords: a C minor, an E flat major, an F minor, an A flat major, and a B flat major. And in the last box, we've got a couple of dashes. So if there are no dashes in the bar or measure, then just play that one chord for the whole of the bar or measure, and you can set your own time signature, but I recommend that each box lasts for 4 beats. And if there are dashes in the bar, then that refers to beats in the bar. So you look at the 4th bar there or measure, and you'll see that it's A flat for 3 beats and then a B flat on the 4th beat. And that is all of the getting started information. So you're now ready to go onto your first chord, which will be the major. If you've enjoyed this video, then please consider subscribing to the YouTube channel, Quick Keys. And also you might like to consider purchasing the ebook. It's a 15,000 words comprehensive guide to all of the videos on this channel. All of the information covered in every single video is expanded upon a little bit and illustrated in the ebook Quick Keys, and you'll find the link just below this video. Thanks very much for watching.